In this video, I'm gonna go over the level 1 submaximal pelvic floor training series. In this series, we're gonna cover 4 different positions where you are going to work on a submaximal pelvic floor contraction to develop conditioning and baseline strength in your pelvic floor in easier positions, so that you are more prepared for level 2 and level 3. The goal of this series is a couple things. It could be healing, just getting your pelvic floor moving to get anything like swelling out of that area. Number 2 could be for you to just connect. You're taking the time to focus exclusively on your pelvic floor in easier positions so that you know when you're contracting and you're in a way that it's more connecting versus gripping. And the third is to connect with your pelvic floor in meaningful positions that are appropriate for early postpartum. This parallels with level 1 series of the diaphragm and the transversus abdominis, all of which are first practiced exclusively with each of those just individual muscles, and then we build upon that after or later on in this program. So, main thing with your pelvic floor contraction is when I say submaximal, you are not contracting as hard as you possibly can. You are connecting. So it's anywhere from like a 50% effort and lower. With each contraction, what you want to essentially feel or think about is you imagine you would have a bean, one bean in your vagina or the opening of your vagina and one bean in your anus. If you have to break that out where you're focusing on the bean in the vagina and then you're focusing on the bean in your anus, that's fine. Do 5 reps with 5 reps focusing on the first and then 5 reps focusing on the second area. Otherwise, focus on the 2 beans. So you're imagining yourself contracting around both beans and lifting those beans into the canals at the same time at about, not as hard as you can, about 25 to 50% effort, just so you can notice, okay, I got the beans. Then you're gonna count, or you're gonna hold that, ideally for 5 seconds. Counting's later on, so you're just gonna, if you can't hold, that's fine, but if you can hold for 5 seconds, great. As you do that, you wanna avoid squeezing your butt, squeezing your abdominals, holding your breath. You just wanna, don't even pay attention to it, just if you catch yourself holding your breath, try not to. If you catch yourself breathing in, try not to do that. Try not to build that habit. Just try not to breathe as you contract. And then as you're contracting, you can breathe in and normally. Between each repetition, it's really important that you fully relax. Allow the beans to come back to the opening. Allow the falling of your pelvic floor. If you stay contracted the whole time, that's not good training practice. And try to keep your belly as soft as you can, but do know that the transversus abdominis muscle and the pelvic floor muscles do work together. So when one contracts, they can contract together. We just don't want any domination of either. 4 positions: lying on your back, lying on your side, sitting, and then standing. So we're gonna do the first position first, lying on your back. You might need a pillow, and if you don't have a chair nearby, be sure to have one. Lying on your back, you want to get in the most neutral position as possible. So for a lot of people that have, let's say specifically postpartum, is the front of the ribs is stretched out. So we want to stack the ribs over the pelvis, but using props, not using your muscles, using props. I don't need this, so I'm gonna get rid of it, but that was an example. Now, if your head is way like extended, You may also want to use a towel roll or a yoga block to keep your chin in a tucked position, neck in neutral. This might be a little too high for me. I would probably just need a towel roll. Okay, so this is the first position, supine or upward facing lying or hook lying. This is easier than if your legs are straight, because as your legs are straight, the weight of your legs will tend to tip your pelvis and arch your low back forward. So tip your pelvis forward or arch your low back. In this position, you're gonna connect with your pelvic floor, as I just explained. You're gonna hold, aiming for 5 seconds, and then you're gonna fully relax. As you do that, you don't want any change in your spine position, in your ribs, anywhere. No one should know that you're doing a submaximal pelvic floor contraction. And you're gonna do 10 to 20 repetitions, or just continuously for 1 minute to 2 minutes, depending on where you are. Like I said, you can do it any of the ways that I explained in the beginning, meaning either focusing on the vaginal opening, focusing on the anus, or both at the same time. I would recommend focusing on both if you can, or splitting 50-50 vaginal canal with being for half of them and then the anus the other half. All the same muscle groups, but they do have some areas you might be better depending on how your structure is or how the baby came out. Next position is lying on your side. So in this position, if you need a pillow or a yoga block for your head, that's fine. You want to make sure that your hips are stacked, shoulders are stacked, roll forward so that you are not doing one of these. So it might feel like you're falling forward, that's fine. And then if you need a pillow, that's fine. You're gonna repeat the same thing. 10 to 20 repetitions or 1 to 2 minutes. And then you're gonna flip sides and repeat. Next position after this one is the seated position. Ideally, I mean, if you can, sitting in a chair where you're not supported, spine's in neutral, shoulders and hips are stacked, feet are flat, thighs are parallel to the floor, and you're repeating the same thing. So you're gonna connect with your pelvic floor, you're gonna hold 3 to 5 seconds, completely relax, and repeat 10 to 20 reps, or for 1 minute to 2 minutes. And then next position after this is the standing position. Sitting and standing are mechanically harder on the pelvic floor because of gravity. You may not be able to feel the same thing in standing as you did in the other positions, and that's okay. Do your best, or if this is too hard and you feel like you can't do it without too much gripping here, or you need some more feedback, then you can hold off on this position. Main thing here is that you do your best to get into a neutral position, feet flat, shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, ears, all aligned. And that in itself is hard, especially after being pregnant for 9 months and having a baby. So it doesn't have to be perfect. And then from here, once you got your position, you're gonna repeat the submaximal pelvic floor contraction. You may not get as many reps, that's okay. Aiming to get to 10 to 20, each rep holding for 3 to 5 seconds. Typically, everyone's different on how much time they need to be in the level 1 series. And we integrate these with the other parts of the Reconnect program because the other parts enhance your ability to do this. So don't beat yourself up if you feel like you're not getting any progress. Some people are on this series for a couple weeks, others are in this series for upwards of 12 weeks. Everyone's on their own journey, and everyone's pelvic floor is different from the next person after having a baby, whether it's cesarean delivery or a vaginal delivery. In general, at first try this through 1 round, starting at the lower end of the reps, and then either add 2 rounds or you can add reps to 1 round. So it could be 1 round of 10 or 1 round of a minute, and then 1 round of 15, 1 round of 90 seconds, and then 1 round of 20, 1 round of 2 minutes versus 2 sets of 10, 2 sets of 1 minute for each, or you don't have to do them all. It's up to you. If this was helpful, please press the like button. If you have any questions, you could comment below or communicate with me on how we agreed upon before this. And then next series is level 2 or another series within the Reconnect program. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.